Hi, this is Wire Guitars. I haven't made a YouTube video in a while, but I intend to maybe. I don't even want to make any promises. I just want to say this. Uh, Dota's a complicated game, and you probably don't understand it as well as you think you do. Even if you've been playing the game for thousands of hours, like I have, this criticism that I'm applying to you certainly applies to me. And I guess if that is like really the case, then you could just kind of disclose, like if I really don't even know what I'm even talking about, then who the fuck am I to solicit advice to you? But I just wanted to say that Dota is a lot more than just the picking stage fiasco that happens in like 99% of your solo queue games. So what do I mean by this? I mean, in every single Dota game, you have 5 players on your team and then mirror that for the other team, right? On your team in the picking stage, it's very often the case that one of your dudes will be AFK, maybe. You'll have some dude, like, say, for instance, your 5-position support not pick in the first phase, and then you have, like, your 2-position picking and your 4-position picking, or, just some core role picking in the first phase getting tilted. And then already, like, suddenly you have a game where, the game's kind of just fucked from the get-go, where, like, everybody's mad because again, like, the picking stage is out of order and people are going into the game with this perception of, I got counterpicked, the lane is over from before I even got to play the game or interact with the game. And so why even bother playing out this game? I'm going to soft int and feed the entire time and not take it seriously. What I came here to say to you today, if you're watching this video right now, is that is a bullshit crock of shit notion. Okay? Games of Dota are so much more complicated than just direct hero to hero matchups. It is not the case, even in more binary games, even in more like in games where math is really strictly only what determines who wins and who loses. Like in a game like Pokemon, where of course there is variance, but still that variance is rooted in math. And it's like, if you have a fire type and you're versus a water type, you're just at a strict disadvantage. Dota's more complicated than that. You can certainly have a lane in a game of Dota where you have a very aggressive, say for instance, dual lane. I play offlane, so like, primarily. So let's say you have like a very aggressive dual safe lane, where you have like a troll warlord with his little axes. Why am I doing this in paint? This is so much more complicated than if I just said you have like a troll warlord, which is known to be a traditionally strong laner. Pair him with like a Dazzle, who's a popular safe lane support these days. And suddenly you have like a very strong lane, right? One that can certainly beat down an offlaner, especially if they're by themselves. Well, the game is of course more complicated than just like, say for instance, the offlaner is Brewmaster, a hero that doesn't have like a lot of escape, a hero that doesn't have a lot of an ability to really interact with the lane too much if he's just going direct head to head, like I beat my face into these creeps right in front of a troll warlord that's standing 600 units away hitting me with axes. Like, that's not going to end well for the brew minute 0, minute 1, minute 2. You just don't have the resources yet as a brewmaster to just sustain a bunch of right click from troll. Plus, if troll ever slows you and Dazzle starts to wrap around, you could just feed first blood in that situation, right? This might actually be a little bit more helpful if I just bring up the demo hero lobby and show you just how weak a hero like Brew is. If he's in a lane and a troll's just clicking him and a Dazzle's like coming up from behind and killing him. Again, I don't even know how useful this scenario is to even play out, especially since the loading time of Dota is so long. But just try to understand what I'm saying here. The lane can be very bad if you approach it like just a binary head-on, I want to run into a lane and lane against a ranged hero kind of dynamic, right? Like, you don't need me to tell you that this is not a favorable lane for you, right? If you're kind of just doing this and he's allowed to do this to you the entire time. But Dota is more complicated than just heroes interacting with each other, straight up head-to-head, direct confrontation all the time. You can play a different, like, style of lane. You can actually, I would dare say it's an entirely different style of Dota. And some people are familiar with what I'm talking about, but you can do things like dragging creep waves. You can do things like dragging, like pulling waves. And I want to like show this in some replays where there are situations where we don't do this. There are situations where we do this, and it pans out well for us and it pans out poorly for us in very dramatic fashions. So let me just think of a replay here that kind of explains or explores the topic that I'm trying to get at in a way that is like just abrupt, where it's like, you know, I'm saying these words and maybe you can kind of resonate with what I'm saying, but if I just show you an example, you know, a picture speaks more than 1,000 words. You'll just be like, oh, okay, obviously this is a situation where people have, you know, a direct approach to a situation that is not going to pan out well, but, you know, there could have been a different way that they could have approached that situation that could have planned out really well. I think I'm getting lost in the sauce here. It's kind of it's like confusing at talking about it this much in the abstract. So let's just look at an example. Okay, so this is a lane. I'm playing Venno. I have Alina. We're against a TA. Already you can kind of see this is just like a nightmare lane for the enemy. I want to, sorry, one sec. I'm going to turn off display capture here. This is like a nightmare lane for the enemy, right? They do have a Gyro 5. Gyro 5 is like not a weak hero, but TA is never going to be able to approach this lane, you know, and feel good about it as a ranged hero in the way that TA is. Very much not a ranged hero in the early game, really. Approaching a lane against a Venno Lina, like she's just gonna die, like she just did, right? And so what this Lina, or sorry, not what this Lina, sorry, what this TA does after she dies this one time is she literally says, "Fuck everything. Let's swap lanes. I'm gonna get what I can mid against a Zeus who's probably not going to be able to kill me. And Ursa's going to TP bot." And so she says, like, you know, hey, I'm TA. I've identified a difficult matchup. I have absolutely zero desire to interact with it directly. And so my response to that, not my, like me, I'm not this TA, I'm the Venno again. But I think the example is like better if I look at another player and prove the point that I'm trying to make. Because then it's not just me aggrandizing myself in a replay. Oh man, look at me, I'm so good making the right decision. It's like, here's a TA making the right decision. She says, hey, fuck this Venno Lina lane that I'm never going to get anything out of. Let's lane swap. Either she asked for that or the Ursa asked for that. I guarantee it was the TA that asked for it though, given how early she died. Ursa died too. It probably just worked out for both of them. But one thing is for sure, neither of them appreciated the lanes that they were in prior, so they swapped. Again, favoring a more indirect approach to their problem. She even gets a kill on my Zeus, which is actually kind of nuts. This is this is an interesting situation where I get to look back at my teammates feeding, like, nice. This is my Zeus player in a solo queue game. My Zeus. This is your Zeus. This is your Zeus in every solo queue. No, I'm just kidding. That's not what the video is about. Anyways, so yeah, they did a lane swap, and I have to say, this very much worked out for them. Ursa's a far more difficult hero to pressure in the early game. I mean, still very much a hero that we can kill, but is going to be more difficult to kill than a TA, usually, just due to the sheer nature of Urshock and the fact that he has higher base stats. I think. Actually, TA is kind of a... Actually, wait, hold up. I think Ursa's just a little bit quicker, but actually TA has more armor. I'm not actually sure how much more favorable this matchup is for Ursa now that I'm thinking about it a little bit more critically, because he really does hate both of our heroes. But one thing is for sure, TA versus Zeus is a much more favorable matchup than TA versus these two heroes. And that's what I think that's what their team was focused on. They're like, hey, we're going to send the Ursa bottom. He's probably still going to die, but at least TA is going to get her farm. And again, whether or not this matchup is going to be like super giga favorable for the Ursa is irrelevant to them, because they identified, well, at least we're getting farm on our TA. At least the TA is not getting pressured. And so we're going to fast forward a little bit, because again, this is a situation where the enemy made, in my opinion, a good macro decision to prioritize farm on the TA, to take an indirect approach to solve a problem in their lane deficiencies that they couldn't solve otherwise. And now I'm going to now focus on my team a little bit. This is where my team has to make the decision, right? So now we're very clearly still winning this lane. The safe lane is like, it's looking rather secure for us. And we have to start wondering, like, you know, what about the TA? Or what about, you know, this is just a natural point in the game. It's the 4-minute timing. It's like, you know, a rune just spawned 30 seconds ago. So actually it should have probably happened 30 seconds ago. But like, this is where the 4 usually starts to try to get active in the map and involve themselves in other lanes. And so now we have the TA, the Lina TPing mid here. And actually we can just see though that the Zeus is level 4. This lane swap did very much work out for them, even if it's producing poor results for the Ursa, because at least the Ursa isn't dying repeatedly to the Zeus like he was. Earlier he died once to Zeus, and that was what caused them to want a lane swap. And ever since TA took over the lane, she's actually completely recovered her game. Which is, again, this is like this is interesting to see how bad my Zeus was. But that TA that we got first blood on, or that we killed, we killed early. I don't know if we got first blood or if the Zeus actually got the first blood first on the Ursa. That TA that we killed after TPing mid, after saying, fuck this lane bottom, I don't even want to deal with it, right? A lot of carries in your bracket, if you're 3K, 4K watching this, a lot of carries in your bracket, if you're a carry player, maybe you're watching this, a lot of you carry players out there, and it's not just carry players, a lot of players in general, they approach the lane like they do life, which is like, every problem in life they want to take head on. I'm a man, you're a man, probably 98%, whatever, of Dota players are men. That's a false statistic, but I venture to say there's a pretty good chance you're a man, and there's a venture to say that you have a problem maybe with maybe toxic masculinity. I don't know, with some genuine notion of when some dude in a video game is beating you at something, you want to keep going at it. Maybe I'm reaching a little bit here on the psychoanalysis. I'll try to lean it back a little bit. The point of what I'm trying to get at here is, again, you don't have to always approach every situation head on. And in the case of the lane, that definitely applies. You can swap lanes and it can work out very, very well for you. So much to the fact that, again, this TA who left bot lane minute 1, like straight up abort mission, like hit the abort mission button, said, I don't want anything to do with this lane. I got killed in the first minute. I'm literally leaving this lane. She went from 0-1 and no farm to 2-1, now 2-2 because she got rotated on, and recovering her game. So good for her. And again, I really want to highlight that fact. So now my team is starting to rotate. We're starting to, recognize state of the game isn't just about, again, it's not just about beating our heads against this Ursa. We do want to pressure other sides of the map. So Lena's going to take the approach of like, hey, I'm going, like I said earlier, this is the point in the game where naturally the forward position wants to start rotating around the map. That makes sense. Now, and as we're winning the safe lane too, we just see that Tiny died. I was very confident at this point in the game. I was actually very confident. I was saying like, oh shit, Jug's getting kills. They just killed the TA. I hadn't realized that TA killed Zeus twice and is actually the highest net worth hero in the game. But I was thinking to myself, the game is looking pretty good for us. All we have to do now is make sure they're not farming. Because if you look at the map, right? Nobody's in their lane at all farming the safe lane. Like there's not a hero here except for me. I am getting safe lane farm, or I'm getting free farm in a lane, which is really good, right? I'm getting uncontested free farm at 7 minutes, and it's lane farm. That is usually like a very good thing for any hero to get, because lane farm is premium. It's way better than jungle farm at this moment in the game for most heroes, because most heroes can't farm the jungle efficiently. And again, lane farm is just something you always want to get. If you didn't know this, now you do. Every melee creep is 40 gold. So if I just look at melee creeps alone, these 3 creeps is 120 gold. The average gold that you'll be getting from one hard camp that can spawn every 1 minute. Creep waves spawn every 30 seconds. The average gold you'll be getting from one hard camp is like between 150 to like 125. Okay, it's really not that much. Just the 3 melee creeps alone that you could get. So and I'm just saying the 3 melee creeps, the range creeps actually worth more, but just the 3 melee creeps alone is worth like a hard camp. So lane creeps are always a premium, and whenever you can get those free farm uncontested lane creeps, especially this early on when it's this impactful, when there's nobody else in the game farming it, that's like a good sign. It's like, damn, the enemy's not picking up this farm that we're going to push into their tower. Well, spoiler alert, they are going to start picking up this farm. They're going to pick it up on their gyro while they jungle, and I'm not joking here, with 2 heroes, their TA and their Ursa, and basically show nobody on the map. So they're basically going to start getting closed in on, or at least the theory is they should. Good Dota play at this moment in time would recognize the fact that the enemy team has a TA and Ursa, and that both those heroes, especially when they lose their lane, they don't really want to do anything besides control Roche and farm. It's all those heroes want to do, well, especially against our lineup, where we have a Zeus, a Lina, and a Veno. We have really strong backline, right? We have really strong, like, slow kite, put a bunch of bullshit spells on you guys that can all get countered by BKBs. Like, these 2 heroes, it just screams BKB this game. And once they get those items, as long as they get those items, really just that item alone, BKB changes the pace of this game dramatically. But especially if they can get a BKB and another item, the game gets a lot easier for them. So if you're willing to, if I can invite you on my theory of the game for a second, I've just kind of laid out the next 10 minutes of the game for us, more or less. I said the map is constricted right now, or theoretically should be getting very much closed in on for Radiant, as Radiant is on a timer to farm BKBs on both their TA and their Ursa, of course getting a blink on their Tiny at some point and a blink on their Earthshaker. But the main purchases for Radiant this game, not even going to focus on Gyro's items whatsoever. We're just concerned about TA and Ursa getting their BKB. BKB. That will be the big shift in the game. The power shift is when those 2 heroes get to invalidate our 3 heroes on the back line. Our main damage dealer is going to be, again, the Veno, the Lina, as I like to call her, Lina, and Zeus. So yeah, that's like the next 10 minutes of this game. And if we're to play good Dota, as I understand it, again, inviting you on my theory of the game here. This is me sharing the wisdom and knowledge of a low-ranked Immortal player. My theory of the game is we, as the Dire, should constrict. I think constrict is probably the best word I could use here. We should just be like a big old anaconda, like a big bull snake, and just wrap their jungle just with wards and smokes. And we should just be getting in their jungle, finding that TA, finding that Ursa when they're farming at very low HP. Like this motherfucker is going to farm at very low HP. We should be ganking this guy with smoke. We should be getting Clockworks level 6. We should be fucking rocket flaring camps. We should be finding them and killing them repeatedly, like farming these heroes like the creeps they are. Because again, this early on, when Ursa gets dumpstered in lane, he doesn't get to farm the jungle well. Okay, he's going to be farming the jungle at 25% HP, right? That's how he's going to be recovering in the game. It's going to be very risky, very inefficient jungle farming. And so literally, if you just go fuck his game up like once or twice, look at this hero's net worth. Lowest core in the game, I guess, besides Tiny. Or no, is Tiny support this game? I didn't realize. So definitely support, definitely support, definitely support. And then Lina is the 4 position on our team. So that Tiny's actually just, he's just like literally, actually our Lina is quite fed for that matter. So this is their 3 position. This is their 1 position, kind of 2 position. And then this is their real 1 position. At this point, it's like their TA is going to be their carry, like the person that carries their game. Their Ursa's like the backup carry. Again, it's really just when these 2 heroes get BKB, they're both going to look like carries. That's the important thing, because they're both not going to give a fuck about 3 of our heroes. Really 4 of our heroes, because Clock's not going to do much to them either. Anyways. So yeah, Ursa's going to be jungling, and this is just what I'm about to say is a PSA just in general. Whenever you have a farm-dependent hero who lost their lane, especially depending on how badly they lost their lane, this Ursa's 0 and 3, they're not going to be farming the jungle efficiently. They're going to be farm dependent. They're still going to need their farm, but they're not going to go into the jungle with a Yasha and a Morbid Mask and power treads and just rip through it real quick. And with a bunch of high base armor staying at high HP throughout the entirety of it. No, they're going to be jungling with like 25, 10% HP, just barely scathing by in these camps because they're underfarmed and the jungle got really buffed last patch. So we, as Dire, should recognize, hey, we dumpster them in the laning phase. We need to get in their jungle and start constricting their farm. And the way that looks, how that looks is exactly what Lina's doing here, okay? Lina, well, actually, it's not what Lina's doing here at all. Lina's supposed to be, our good old friend Lina here, Lina, is supposed to be walking in the jungle with sentries and wards, putting them on the high ground locations. She should literally just, with a smoke by herself, right here, pop a smoke, walk in, do. If I can draw on the map, I can't. Do. Walk over here, place a ward up here. I don't care that it's high ground. We're strong enough. We can literally defend high ground wards at this point in time. If you're a 3K, 4K player and you're thinking, support, I need to spy, James Bond, need to place my wards in very covert locations where they don't actually see anything or do anything. Nope. If you're this strong in the game, you have a 2K net worth lead, you literally have 4 heroes on top of the rest of the, look at this net worth disparity. Our 4 position is more farmed than their hard carry / mid and their off lane, okay? And I am the most farmed hero in the game besides TA, who again, this TA, just gonna say my Zeus really let me down this game. I'm very salty about that. But yeah, we are very farmed. We have the manpower especially before their heroes get BKB, to just control the shit out of their jungle. So Lina, walk over here. You can do this literally by yourself on Lina. Even if you're level 5, she should just go get level 6 and she could literally do this by herself, because level 6 Lina with her ulti, she pretty much just solo kills most heroes. So you just walk over here with a smoke, 2 wards, 2 sentries, pop it, place a ward, place a ward. The game is over. Literally, when that play happens, the game is over. The jungle has officially been lit up like a fucking Christmas tree, and for them to contest it means they have to walk into a level 6 Lina and a level 8 or 7 Veno somewhere over here. I can connect, and we just control their jungle. And the game is over. Literally, the game is over. That is the correct macro play. At least that is how I would win this game if I could control all 5 heroes and play this game like a StarCraft game. But I can't. I cannot do that. So instead, my team is going to rotate on this TA with literally no vision. We're just walking up to her, walking mid, not killing her, not doing anything, feeding. No vision on the map whatsoever. Giving TA a killing spree. She's 4,300 net worth right now. Ursa's literally taking Roshan, or about to. They're controlling the Rosh area. We have literally no wards on the map. We have one defensive. We just placed a defensive ward that doesn't even scout Roche Pit efficiently against Ursa. Sag. And again, I just want to really highlight, like, maybe the Venom needs to rotate over. What did I die to? I died to some kind of rotation. I'm definitely not trying to make the... Oh, no, I think I died solo to fucking Gyro here. This was a big feat on my part. This was my big mistake of the game, for sure. Feeding this level 6 support Gyro, not respecting his damage, and probably, like, maybe even going a little casually, dying to this Gyro solo was... So again, I made my own mistakes here. I'm just saying the correct macro play that our team, that I think, like, the direct approach to this game for Dire would just be like, hey, recognizing their team as a team that very much needs to farm jungle, getting in their jungles, smoking up. It does require a proactive decision. Okay, we do have to do something. We don't just, like, we can't just sit around and do nothing and expect this to be the same result. Okay, we do have to actually do something, and it does have to involve, especially our supports, coordinating this. Not especially, I mean, really, it's something that any core role can do, but it's something that, like, especially Jug doesn't want to literally have to do himself. Okay, Jug doesn't want to have to buy the ward, buy the sentry, buy the smoke, and then actually go and place them on the ground. But what you can do if you're the Jug player and you're recognizing that your team is owning, and you're like, hey, they're hard farmers, and we should be shutting that down, you can say to your team, hey, this is what we should do. And when you say we, you could be like, hey, this is what you guys should do. The point is, making the correct macro decisions does not actually need to require you doing them if you're a core player. And if you're a support player, that is like 90% of your game anyways. It's just making the correct macro decisions. And this is not a video that's meant to rip on supports in any way, shape, or form. I don't even feel like I need to say that. I feel like by saying that, maybe I don't know if I'm introducing that part of the conversation. I love supports. I'm a support player. I mostly play support, I feel, in offlane. But, and no but, actually. No, that's just a straight, I love supports. This is not a video ragging on supports. No buts. What I'm trying to say is that macro decisions are really what win this game. And macro just, like, you know, people stress the micro, the individual mechanical decision making of like a high skill Meepo or Void Spirit or Storm Spirit player, one of the Spirit heroes usually, like, oh, look at that Storm Spirit, that fucking Sumail, triple kill, quadra kill, oh my god, so good. You know, it's like the game. Dota is a complex and beautiful game, and yes, there are some really cool things that you can do, especially, you know, on mechanically complex heroes in this game that can make you feel like an artist. Okay, I have 1,000 games on Earth Spirit and Broodmother. I think I know that more than most people, but that does not describe, like, even so even as somebody who has played, you know, mechanically complex, like, look at this list of heroes. Okay, are any of these heroes you know, traditionally seen as like easy mode heroes? I guess, I don't know, like maybe what I'm trying to say is, as somebody who plays mechanically complicated heroes, or heroes that are like considered mechanically complicated, even I am here telling you, the viewer, that Dota is a game about decision making. This game is all macro. This game is literally, like, it's not literally, I keep saying literally, okay, call me speed. I'm saying literally when I don't mean literally, but either way, this game is like 80% macro decisions. It's 80% just how good you are at recognizing what your purpose on your hero is in any given moment in the game, and just making a bunch of correct decisions about and around that concept. Saying, where do I need to be on the map? What do I need to be doing? What items do I need to be purchasing? What hero should I be trying to coordinate any sort of plays on, etc., so forth. Whew. Big rant, and I feel like I belabored a complicated point, but I just wanted to really get that out there in a concise video format, because literally, if anybody watches this video and gets anything from it, I feel as though this will be like a huge service to the Dota community, because I don't think enough people know this. Dota is a game about decision making. Just make the correct decisions. Invade the hard farming, you know, low HP Ursa farm, jungle farming Ursas. It's hard against TA, I know, because she has traps, but smoke of decease goes through trap. What I'm trying to say is, the decision making needs to come first. The proactive decisions after that comes naturally. When you can recognize what you should be doing, making the smoke play becomes easy. Because when I tell you how low this Ursa, like, I don't think a lot of people realize just how low HP these guys are when they're farming jungle, playing their Alchemist. Like, this is why whenever I see a meta where Spectre or Alchemist is strong, I laugh, especially as an offlane player. I laugh because I'm just like, those heroes do not win. Like, a Spectre, even in a strong meta, should never get out of the laning phase unless they buff Spectre to the point where she can get out of the laning phase. What I'm saying is, when these heroes are strong, but their main weakness of being weak early game is still there and present, then I just think to myself, okay, so like a good player would just, like, they're just a pup hero. That's it. Like, maybe their numbers are a little bit stronger over tuned, But in the pro meta, they usually don't develop beyond that. Or if they do, it's because they're like truly like just elevated levels of broken, and they just shut, like they're like I don't want to say like Viper. I'm not trying to say Viper's overpowered right now, but like Viper style laning phase or Razor style laning phase, where it's like 90% of the heroes literally can't do anything to your hero in lane. Okay, but like unless you're playing just an auto GG, and even those heroes, they can be win lane, lose game because of correct macro decisions made by the enemy. Those heroes have insane counterplay past the lane. It's like, damn, Viper, what are you going to do once you've won the laning phase? Are you going to go BOTs and try to TP around the map and impact the map that way? You know, that's going to stress your mana pool. How are you going to farm? You have no escape. You can get ganked very easily. It's like even these heroes have counterplay. You just have to be thinking in that indirect fashion. You have to be approaching Dota games from the perspective of this is a dynamic game. Not everything needs to be I run X hero into X hero and then their just auto attacks and spells go off, and then hopefully my team executes it better than the other hero, no matter how bad the net worth disadvantage. It's like, no, you can do things like split push the map and try to take efficient trades, split the enemy team up, ward up your jungle, ward up their jungle, you like smoke, I don't know. I feel like I'm just explaining basic Dota concepts at this point, and I'm saying things that everybody kind of innately knows, but that when it comes to actually carrying these behaviors out in your actual games, it looks a lot differently. But let's just keep looking at this replay and see if another moment comes up in the game where I feel like we could be doing something that we're not doing, and it would be very simple for us to do that thing, but we just don't do it. Okay, so I TP'd bottom after I died to the gyro. Definitely shouldn't have died to that gyro, but my main goal is taking over the safe lane, or not taking over, is pushing the safe lane tower down, trying to take over these two camps of their jungle, and eventually invade their their jungle at large. Like, my main goal this game is to be either a single unit or a force, like that can be accompanied by two supports that will literally just farm their jungle and their bot lane. Because if I know that if I can do that, two things are going to happen. One, I'm going to get giga farmed, and then two, I'm going to be shutting down a lot of farm. There's one big disadvantage to that, and the main disadvantage of it, unfortunately, has to do with my team placement. I am on Dire in a game where they have an Ursa, which means if I do this, I'm going to be putting myself on the bottom half of the map, and Roshan is conveniently placed on the top half of the map, and so I will be leaving my team exposed to having to fight against Roshan with only me having an 8-second or, like, you know, a 5-second reinforcement time. Like, I'm gonna have to, like, if suddenly a fight breaks out at Roche because my team isn't controlling Roche, or because we are controlling Roche and a fight breaks out, we need to have so much foresight on that for me to be able to respond to that. So that's like the main disadvantage of me playing this way that I want to play. Right, I want to play the map because I won the lane, I'm very farmed. I want to play the map in such a way that I control their jungle and really force them to deal with me, or suffer not getting any farm. That's how I want to play this game. But I can't do that if they're going to go for Roche, because if they're taking Roshans while I'm doing this, it's worth it for them. So that's the main disadvantage to this playstyle that I've recognized that I need to do something about or address in some way. Otherwise, we're going to lose this game. And lo and behold, that's what they're doing right now. They're literally doing Roche, and we don't know a thing about it because they smoked in. And so here they're going to literally just take a Roshan for free at 11 minutes watching this Ursa. And what are we doing? We're going on a TA. Are we going to kill the TA? We're going to kill the TA. So that's pretty cool. Killing TA is pretty cool there. We kill the gyro. We kill the gyro. So we get TA and gyro. You know, most farm carry on the game, and then gyro's like a spoil of war. He's like an extra little, okay, like we get a little bit more fed out of it. And then we might take a favorable team fight here. Kill a tiny, pressure their mid tower. TA comes back in with her blink, but I don't give a fuck because I have armor, because I'm Vena. And yeah, so we're going to get 3 kills, and they have no compensatory kills here. It's just like a straight up, we're controlling your mid tower, we're pushing your shit in. What are you guys going to do about it now? We're kind of controlling their map a little bit. But, again, this Ursa's still farming. And they did get Aegis. So this pressure that we're applying to mid tower has to, like, something has to happen from it, right? Either A, our jug has to be getting, like, massively fat while we're doing this, controlling this mid tower. Or B, I don't feel like we can be letting this happen because we're giving up the farm down here. Basically, I'm taking myself off the farm role when I go mid here. Either I am or Zeus is. One of us will not be farming if both of us are in the same lane, right? Because only one of us can farm that lane. This is how the math works on the creeps there. So when I come up here and I basically say, okay, let's start playing 4 protect 1, which is kind of what I'm doing. I'm grouping with the rest of my team, except for our jug. to do things on the map. This is a very common state that you get into as a mid laner or an off laner. And at some point in the game is where you want to start grouping with your team, and your team, again, being at this point early on in the game, not usually being with your carry. Your carry is usually expected to TP in late, to join a fight if it's close enough to a tower, if especially he can have impact on that fight. But generally, you want that carry to be the one farming, because the strategy is for protect one. You know, you don't need everybody mobilizing on the map right now doing to accomplish things. It's usually just generally pretty inefficient, because there's usually there's too much space on the map to be, there's too much space and there's not enough threat, basically. Like, Jug can usually just farm the map freely until we start saying things like Blink and Basher or something like from Ursa. Like, basically when they can start killing Jug is when Jug has to start grouping with us, but until then, he should be farming the map. Anyways, don't belabor that point. So as we see another fight happening here mid, I don't want to turn this into like a replay commentary where I sit here and like observe our fights or anything like that. Like, a fight's gonna happen and it's not gonna go entirely our way. We're gonna get some cool juicy little kills out of it. We're gonna literally kill their entire team and take Aegis, but I died and I'm the most farmed hero on my team. Maybe I'm looking at this a little bit biasly. But instead of focusing on how that fight went and how I think it went favorably for us, I actually want to focus on another aspect of the general theme for this replay that I wanted to focus on, which is taking indirect approaches to solving issues in Dota rather than approaching them head on like most people usually do, which usually results in failure if the solution cannot be beaten just via stats alone. Like, if you cannot stat stick your way in a head-on engagement, then it's generally just not favorable for you to be doing so, right? Like, for instance, if you're playing 1v1 mid, you know, and you're two melee heroes, and you realize you're trading with the enemy melee hero and they're an Ursa or a Monkey King, you know, generally speaking, if you're not also an Ursa or a Monkey King, you're kind of just like, it's usually just a bad idea, just period, to be doing that kind of shit, right? And that's the theme of this video, is to expose moments where Dota players make obviously inefficient decisions because they have sort of a mindset of being head-on about it, and to talk about ways in which you can do the opposite of that, you know, being indirect with your approach to the game, with your fluidity and your movements, with your, especially your like fluidity and the way you approach your role. That's like a lot of complicated words. What I'm really just trying to get at is knowing how you can slot a hero into many different functions on the map, not just a power farming like hyper carry. There are going to be some games where you're playing PA and you're expected to group up with your team more often than you're just farming, in which case you might want to go Deso first. I know maybe BSJ or your favorite content creator said never go Deso first, but I'm just saying straight up, if you never explore the opportunity of playing a carry like that, you will never know what it's like to end a game in 20 minutes. You'll never know what it's like to hit a timing. You'll never know what it's like to play Dota on that level. And that is a level that people play Dota at. In fact, that is often the correct way to play Dota, is to hit a specific timing with your team and coordinate your items with your levels, with your hero's individual item and level power spikes with the rest of your team to make your team as powerful as possible and then end the game. That's generally what you're trying to do in Dota. And, you know, again, going items like Deso first on PA embody that theory. Now, is it something that you should do every game? No. Is it something you should even do most games? Probably not. The point is knowing when and being able to identify the situations in which you should be able to do that, or in which you should be doing that, is the important thing. So I'm actually just going to end it here as we sit here and dive their triangle. We end up losing this game, but you guys don't get to find out how unless you, I guess, stalk my profile, because that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is not to look at a gameplay commentary of me going 8-2 on Veno and still losing the game. The point of this game is to show that, again, the earlier game decisions of like the TA correctly identifying a dog shit lane and TPing mid into a matchup that would be slightly more favorable for her, and it actually working out for her. And, you know, ending up with her being the most farmed hero on the map and ending up with them eventually carrying the game. So correct decisions often are not the ones that just involve you taking a head-on direct approach, beating your head against a wall that's never going to function, or that's never going to let you through it. The correct decision is oftentimes in a situation where you cannot take the head-on approach, to just take an indirect approach, right? To just see, to be able to identify that, you know, the problem is there to begin with. To be able to get, there are so many lanes where, especially 2K, 3K players that I see, and Immortal players too, I don't really want to like actually make anybody exempt from this. There are so many lanes at 5K, 6K where I see a player will die in, and then they'll go back and they'll die again in the exact same way. And then they'll go back and die a third time in the exact same way. It's like they're playing some slow hero with no escape, and there's a Viper, and they consistently find themselves getting caught out of position by the Viper in the same exact, very mundane way way that Viper catches you out of position, which is by auto-attacking you repeatedly with his Q. And it's just so embarrassing when it's like, dude, I don't care how weak your hero is to Viper, like, you have above 90 IQ, right? Like, you should know that you can do other things. You don't just have to run your hero into Viper. Like, I don't know. I do know. I don't. It's not the case that I don't know. It's that I'm sad that oftentimes players aren't able to apply any amount of critical thought to the game they're playing, and that they just want to be able to run stats into other balls of stats and expect their ball of stats to always work. It's like, no, sometimes you can't just do that with heroes like Huskar or Viper even. Sometimes you have to take an indirect approach. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. Thank you very much for your time, and peace out.